And welcome to The Edge, my friends. I am your host, Lisa Lacey. And in here, we talk about the things we should be talking about, but we aren't. We have the conversations we should have been having all along. And today, my special guest is Gaylen Wilson. So, Gaylen's story is one of extraordinary reinvention. Over the course of his life, he has been a farmer, a stockbroker, computer consultant, technician, heart transplant survivor, relationship coach, author, publisher, and founder of the Monument Method Institute. After surviving end stage heart failure and receiving a life saving heart transplant, Gaylen began exploring the deeper questions of identity, resilience, shame. And you guys know all of these are the ones we talk about. Intimacy is when he talks about purpose and what it truly means to rebuild a life after everything you thought you had defined it by was what really existed. So, Gaylen, welcome to the show. It's an honor to
It's a
have you
pleasure to be
here.
here, Lisa.
Good, good. I'm so excited. We were having a podcast
Oh
before the
yeah.
podcast. So I was like, we need to stop for the podcast. I am so excited about having you on because your story involves so many of the things I caught so much crap for my entire life. And that's becoming that kind of Renaissance man that does a little bit of everything and is reinvented over and over and over. So you have multiple chapters of rebuilding
hmm
and major life collapses and a major near death health scare. And I know what those are like. Looking back, what have those repeated reinventions taught you the most about?
Gratitude. I
Mm,
think yeah, that's how I survived my whole life without becoming some bitter old man. You
mm,
look at it on paper, I've basically had to reinvent myself 5 or 6 times in my life,
that's a lot.
and usually not to my own by from my own hand, but the alcoholism was definitely from my own hand. But it was the way I had learned to deal with all the disasters helping. And fortunately, as bad as I was, I should have died from the
Yeah,
alcohol. But
yeah.
fortunately, the right woman came along and helped me get out of that, and and so I've
The
been
right
20.
partner can make a lot of difference. My
Yes.
husband and I are both celebrating 8 years clean together. So I love this concept of it giving you gratitude. And I loved that you pointed out there is potential for us to end up cynical and bitter and angry.
hmm
And I think a lot of us get stuck as we're healing, whatever word you want to use for that. I think the word healing is so overgeneralized and so overused, but as we're recovering, as we're reinventing, um, gratitude can help so much. How do you think that kept you from becoming bitter? Because it sounds like you had a lot of heavy hits.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was I was so driven first of all, I got married at 20 and had 4 kids by the time I was 26.
Whew.
Uh, and I didn't start college until after I had 4 kids. When
Wow.
I was 27, 28, I was farming a dryland farm, an irrigated farm, had a disc rolling business, a roofing business, and taking 17 credit hours at college.
Wow. You
So
don't do anything the easy way.
no, no,
You're not taking the easy path. Yeah.
no. And
You're not
so,
taking the easy
so
path.
when my last 2 years were crop failure, or 2 of my last 3 years, I had a crop failure due to drought, and then a decent year, and then a crop failure, and that kind of did that in, and and so I internalized that and as a failure because I was such a
Mm,
perfectionist, but I just stuffed it. That was the only tool I had at the time, was stuff and
yeah,
just go on.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I went from being a stock farmer to a stockbroker, and people go, how do you go from being a farmer to a stockbroker? And well, I wasted myself on farming for 10 years. but really, the answer to that is farmers have to be their own businessman. They have to understand business as well as understand how to grow things.
Yes.
And so I got into stock brokerage. I was doing quite well. The New Yorkers loved my laid back cowboy attitude.
I bet they did. I bet they loved your accent. I bet they did. Yeah.
And so I walk into work one Monday morning in mid-January of 1990, and I find out I'd been selling a little dental HMO to every one of my customers. And I walk in and they say, "Oh, by the way, Dental Health of America was lying on their financials, and they just filed Chapter 7." So every one of my clients' money was, including my $3,000 of my mother's money, was gone. And I can name that day as the day I crawled inside a vodka bottle, because that became my new tool to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so
I get it. I ran from my emotions, stuffing them, because I was raised by, I'm a Gen Xer, raised by boomer parents who said, stuff it up, suck it up, toughen up, move on, don't cry, be a man. I got told to be a man, so I tried to man up. So yeah, you often you talk about the fixer identity, and from looking at my stuff, I love these identities that we take on. How did becoming the person who solved problems help you survive, and when did you realize that identity was then limiting you?
Okay, yeah. One example, well, I learned that during farming, because you couldn't afford to have anything fixed. So you had to
fixed
learn
it yourself.
And this was back before we had YouTube to go just look at a video on how to fix things. So fortunately, I had a father-in-law that was highly intelligent. He was a retired Air Force major, and he had spent the last year and a half of his Air Force career, because they grounded him because of his eyesight, as a maintenance supervisor for aircraft. And we got in many arguments about, Richard, the combine does not leave the ground.
You're like, I need help. Fix it.
Well, he wanted to be just so precise with everything.
Wow, that's funny. So, I can see it.
Yeah, but when it comes to relationships, especially with women, they don't always need the fixer. And that's been, I still struggle with that to this day, because Heather will come to me with something that's bothering her, and so my brain immediately goes, okay, how can I fix this? And I've learned that she doesn't always need it fixed. Yeah. She just needs me to listen and empathize.
And so I love that. My husband and our story is interesting, and I'll probably do a separate podcast on that, but I consistently tell him it's not your responsibility to make me happy. It's not your responsibility to make me happy. It's my job to find satisfaction and contentment, which are words I like much better than happy. So I want to talk about your health scares and near-death experiences, because those are so near and dear to me, because they can be so pivotal in life if we use them as fuel. So you survived an end-stage heart failure and received a heart transplant. What did that teach you about life, but specifically about vulnerability?
Okay. Well, we need to back up just a little bit to where Heather and I met. I was 46, she was 29. The alcohol had basically destroyed my first marriage. By the time I met her, I was pretty much sober, except I would have the 6-month weekend binges, but I had been studying some tantric sex techniques, and eye gazing is a huge part of that. And so we began our relationship with a lot of eye gazing, a lot of deep connection, and we were probably clinically addicted to each other sexually. And so, um, um, but we created this really strong bond, and we learned to repair quickly.
I love that.
And so we had 12 years together of that, and we never really left the romance phase. I mean,
Wow. That
be,
is saying a lot. That
mm-hmm,
is saying a
yeah.
lot.
And
A
so,
lot of couples can't even look each other in the eye,
mm-hmm,
much less
mm-hmm,
gaze for a long period of time with one another.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. And repairing quickly is pivotal. It's
exactly.
paramount
Mm-hmm.
to ending those fights over what was ours about over the weekend? Sawmill biscuits and gravy. It got ridiculous. It got ridiculous. It gets
and,
ridiculous.
and I'm about to explain here in a little why that fight happened.
Sawmill
So,
gravy became about 8 years ago, and then we're like, "What are we doing?"
yeah,
So, and
yeah.
we too, because we are both in recovery from addiction, do have to, in our own method, repair quickly. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's not forget to circle back to sawmill gravy. So, okay, so when you the addiction and your struggles destroyed your first marriage, you were studying tantric sex, beautiful, beautiful practice, eye gazing. So you have this deep, deep, deep bond.
Mm-hmm.
And did your heart failure happen around that time
Well,
or?
yeah. We'd been together 12 years at that point,
Okay.
and it was we had one of my reinventions was as a traveling computer field service guy. And we had actually hooked up with an outfit out of West Virginia, and they sent us all over the country to farm service agency offices in the county seats.
Wow.
And so that taught us to even repair faster, because a lot of that was done in a little Toyota Prius C.
You were on the road in a Prius,
So,
stuck with
so
each other.
you learn to say I'm sorry quickly, and you learn to say you're forgiven quickly, because there's nothing as miserable than driving around the country in a Toyota Prius C with somebody you're mad at.
It's not even a camper. It's not even a cab over camper. A Prius. Got it. Got it. Yes.
Yeah,
Pivotal.
and
Pivotal. Yes.
so we had gone on a 17-week, 25,000-mile, 35-state trip.
Wow.
And we got back in October. We went back out for another 2 or 3 weeks in November, and then we were off for Christmas. And I got really sick right around Christmas time. And I live in a little town of 7,500, so we don't have the best health care in the world. And so I went into the clinic, and the PA says, "Oh, you've got pneumonia. Here's some antibiotics." Well, I found out later he should have had a chest X-ray done, but it was a Saturday and no technician, and he didn't say, "Gaylen, go to the hospital on Monday and get a chest X-ray." And so we had another 3.5-month trip planned in January. And so by the time it was time for that trip, the stuff coming up out of my lungs had cleared up. I had bought an oxygen generator for when I had the pneumonia. and we had also bought a motorhome to take the next trip in. So we took
Bigger. More space.
Yeah. Well, and the kids, the first trip, the 17-week trip, was with her 14 and 16-year-old daughters.
Okay,
In that Toyota Prius C.
Wow.
I built a little 4x4 Harbor Freight Tools trailer and put a Sears car top carrier, and that's where you carried your luggage in, which we had all kinds of people taking pictures of the Prius with pulling a trailer.
I love it.
And so,
I love it.
So we left on the trip, and this time the kids stayed home with their older brother. And so as we got into the trip, I just kept getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And so by 6 weeks into the trip, I had to carry my little 10-pound bag of tools in and set it on the counter and suck air for 2 minutes before I could tell them why I was there. and and so it was President's Day. The FSA office was closed. We were in Corpus Christi, Texas. And so I said, let's find a little walk-in clinic. I'm going to see if the pneumonia is coming back. And so we went in and they sent me for the chest x-ray that I should have had in December. And they called me back that afternoon and said, Mr. Wilson, you don't have pneumonia. You've got congestive heart failure. You need to get home to Colorado today.
Wow.
Well, my type A personality said, well, we're making $300 a job and getting 3 to 4 jobs a day. Let's finish this next 6 weeks and then we'll deal. Well, that was the denial speaking. Yes. 2 jobs into the next day, I said, okay, we got to go.
Yeah. The workaholism and the denial. Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
And so poor Heather had to drive that motorhome 1,000 because I laid back in the bed with the oxygen generator on, for almost the whole trip. She did make me drag we had a big long hose on it that I could reach the front of the motorhome with. And so she made me drag it up and sit beside her while she went through San Antonio.
I spent 2 years in San Antonio. There's some terrible traffic there.
Well, and you got to understand, Heather came from a town of 300.
Oh, wow. That's yes.
So,
yes.
So she did a really brave job getting me home.
Yes.
And so by the time they got me into you go into this little hospital here and they say, okay, Mr. Wilson, the ambulance will take you to Colorado Springs now. And so by the time I got in the ER in the Springs, a healthy human heart puts out 50 to 60% of the blood out of the left chamber every time it beats. Mine was at 5. So I was banging on death's door pretty hard. Wow. And they gave me Lasix, which is a diuretic, and took off 22 pounds in 2 days. And that's how much water was around my heart and lungs. And so they put a defibrillator in me, a pacemaker, and sent me home in about, 5 or 6 days. And I got quite a bit better. By summer, I was up to 30% ejection fraction, and I put a 4,000 square foot roof on my father's house.
You sound like me. You sound a lot like me. I'm like, I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. I'm going back to work. It's what keeps us going, right? Yeah. It's what keeps us going.
And so then the next January, I started going into AFib, which is where the top part of the heart doesn't beat correct with the bottom part of the heart. And so it just kind of wiggles around. And so when your heart's already weak and it doesn't beat properly, you become a sick man really quick.
Yeah.
And so they cardioverted me back into rhythm. And I had probably over the next 2 years, I got cardioverted 6 or 7 times. And that's rough on the body. You see the paddles on the movies where they jump off the bed. Well, that's pretty much what happens.
Yeah. It's not good to get shocked. It's not good to get shocked. I mean, it helps, but yeah.
Fortunately, when they're doing it as a procedure, they give you some really good meds. Make you not care.
Stuff, guys. I can take it right now. I can take it. Give me the good stuff. I get it.
And so for the first 2 years after the virus attacked, we were still able to be intimate, 2 or 3 times a week, which for a 61-year-old man is kind of extraordinary anyway.
It's extraordinary for anyone, really. I think these days.
But as it went on and my heart got worse and worse and worse, by about 2 years in, my heart got so bad that it just wasn't pumping enough blood to make Mr. Happy. And so that was when the really test came, because all of a sudden we didn't have our go-to repair tool.
And shifted. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but we still had the eye gazing. We still had our deep connection bond that we had built all those years. And so at that point, a lot of marriages would crumble.
Yes.
Either the patient pushes the caregiver away, or the caregiver just gets so exhausted she leaves. And
Yeah.
and and that didn't Heather never hinted that she wanted out. She stuck by me and nursed me and loved me, right to the end. And I sat her down on June 19th of 2018 at 9 o'clock at night and told her, honey, I'm not going to be here in 2 to 3 months. We need to get ready. We'd been to the mortuary once. We needed to go make some final decisions. And I'd only been on the transplant list 7 months. And so the handwriting was on the wall that I wasn't going to get a heart in time to save my life. And so, of course, she was bawling her eyes out because I just had told her that I was dying. A half hour after I told her that, we got the call there was a heart available.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
so we grabbed our little to-go bag that we had.
Yeah, you're like, we're there. We're there.
And we drove the 200 miles to Denver. It was summer in Colorado, thunderstorm, raining and hailing, and so the waterworks were going outside the car and the waterworks were going inside the car, because she had switched from crying because she was sad to crying because she was excited and scared, because there was a 5% chance I could die on the table.
Yeah.
And so we got to Denver 15 minutes before the deadline they had given us at 1:15 in the morning. And yeah. And so by 4 o'clock, they wheeled me into the OR. And by 9 o'clock, I had a 38-year-old heart in my 61-year-old body.
Wow.
And so I've been given another 20 plus years with my soulmate. And I mean, talk about gratitude. I just, I approach every day overflowing with gratitude.
I love that. I love that. I want to talk about your method to help marriages. Because your eyes lit up, but when we were talking before we were on here, you're like, people need this because they don't have this. It doesn't exist in current models. And it's going to lead into that. You just got another 20 years with your soulmate. But it sounds like what you did with your soulmate was build a very solid foundation that carried you through some of those trials and tribulations. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about that foundation that you guys created that you are now sharing with other people to help save marriages, make marriages more fulfilling, and help them last longer.
Okay, so of course, after the transplant, I felt this burning need, my type A personality kicking in, a burning need to pay that blessing forward. And I didn't know how to do that for a couple of years. But as we went, after the transplant, within a month, we were able to go back to being intimate 2 or 3 times a week. And, the new heart was fantastic. It had a 67%.
It was pumping. It was pumping.
My donor had been into inline skating and snowboarding and extreme sports. And so he was an athlete. And so, he gave me an excellent heart.
Wow.
And but I'm at that point, I'm 62, 63, 64, getting older. ED starts getting worse again. Fortunately, I got being a heart transplant patient, you get to talk to the very best doctors at the University of Colorado system. And so I got their ED guru is my urologist. And so he had me on 3 times the normal dose of Viagra. And still I was trying to make love a couple times a week and failing half the time. And so I was getting really frustrated because it had been such a vital part of our married life. And so I joined two ED groups on Facebook. Uh, and I got so involved with them that, again, my type A personality, I found a way to help people. I was helping people all over the world, especially in third world countries where they don't have the healthcare, and they a lot of times can't talk about ED. It's taboo to even mention it.
Yeah.
And so I found my outlet for that need to pay it forward. And so for
Good.
5.5 years, I'd never charged anybody a dime, and I probably spent 20 hours a week or more in those groups
Helping people. Yeah.
helping people.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest frustrations is that these women would come to the group, and it was the same story over and over and over. Their man had gotten erectile dysfunction and refused to go to the doctor, refused to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And the way he had dealt with it was withdrawing into himself, never touching her, never kissing her, never cuddling, never being
No other
emotional.
forms of intimacy. Yeah.
Right.
Just shut
Right.
down.
Just shut
Yeah.
down, and
Yeah.
abandoned her right in the marriage. And
Yeah.
some of these women had been in these marriages 5 and 10 years, and it hadn't gotten any better. And whenever they did try to talk about it with him, he would get angry with them and shut them down with anger.
Defensive. Yeah.
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 And so I originally saw that as a huge character flaw. These men are cowards. But one of the things I did, because all I could do with these women was empathize, I had no answer for them.
Yeah.
And so I got Heather and I into a course to become certified thriving relationship coaches.
Awesome.
And just to crack that nut.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Weren't we talking about nuts at the beginning of this too? We were, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, one of the first books we read was Hold Me Tight by Dr. Sue Johnson. And in it, she talks about attachment theory. And her attachment theory is that we were bred through thousands of years of prehistoric evolution to have an instinct for strong that back in those times didn't survive, and their offspring didn't survive. So it was brought forward into modern humans as an instinct. And it's just as strong as our need for food or need for water.
Yes.
And so then she went on to explain that most of the fights we get in, and this goes to your fight over the soup or whatever.
Ramen gravy. Biscuits and gravy.
Okay. Okay. Most of the fights we get in are not what we're fighting about. No. It's because that instinct has detected a threat to the attachment and has thrown the body into fight or flight mode. Just as if you're starving to death or dying of thirst, your body would go into fight or flight mode to try to save you. So it considers that threat to the attachment as a threat to the life. And so you're in fight or flight mode. He's in fight or flight mode. All of a sudden, logic leaves the building. You've been there. And you're arguing.
There. I was like, what are we doing? How did this begin? We were arguing over biscuits and gravy. Yeah. You start up biscuits and gravy and 8 years ago come up. Yes. And it was because in that particular instance, it was in fact him feeling a threat to the relationship. You're right. Yeah. It absolutely was. Yeah.
And so Heather and I, when you're in fight or flight, things get said that aren't meant, that are hard to take back afterwards, because the lizard brain is in control. And logic is gone. And so I started working with Heather saying, okay, how do we stop triggering each other's attachment instinct? And so the first thing I came up with was we need to watch what tone we talk to each other in. because sometimes you talk to your loved one like they are the worst person on the planet.
I think I might have heard that in this argument. So maybe I need to fix my tone. He's like, you talk to me like you hate me. I was like, sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah. Well, this is all a couple to realize they are not enemies. That
Yes.
they need to be a team against the lizard brains.
Yes. I like that. Team against the lizard brains. Yes.
Yeah. So Heather and I believe we're building this big, beautiful marble monument to our relationship. And each loving gesture, kind word, especially when you make love with presence, you're building onto your monument. Each cruel word or cold shoulder or fight you get into is like taking a hammer and chisel to your monument. And so we want to fiercely protect our monument. That's the Monument Method Institute motto, is fiercely protect the monument. We need to make it more important than our egos, more important than being right in a fight, because you're never right. You never win a relationship fight. You might win the argument, but you lose the war. And so we want our monument to be the most important thing in our world. And so I got to thinking, okay, so how do we get ourselves out of fight or flight and protect our monument once we're in that? And so I came up with the idea that we give each other a sacred word, and ours is monument. So the second we see the other one heading towards the monument with the hammer and chisel, in other words, when they say something that's gonna start a fight, the other one of us calls monument.
I love this.
But you don't separate, because if you separate and calm down and you come back together, you're still in fight or flight mode. You're right back where you were.
Yeah.
So what we discovered to get ourselves out of fight or flight mode, instead of separating, we turn towards each other, come together, embrace each other's arms, and lovingly gaze into each other's eyes and patch that little spot on the monument.
I love it.
And the science behind that is that when you gaze into your lover's eyes, it goes into that primal brain and tells the primal brain your attachment is safe. And so the primal brain stands down, takes you out of fight or flight mode. Logic returns to the building, and you can logically discuss what you were getting ready to have a big fight about.
Which was not the biscuits and gravy. I'm not sure I like this podcast, because now I'm thinking I got work to do. I gotta go work on my monument when we're done here, because there's some stuff that I could have done over the weekend during our fight about biscuits and gravy. I love this. I absolutely love this, and it sounds like you guys are now able to take what you did in building your strong foundation, where you guys were able to support each other through a life crisis that would have torn most people apart, and are now helping other couples do the same thing.
Right.
So that life stressors do not tear you apart, rather bring you together and help you build a stronger monument. That is beautiful.
Yeah. And so as you practice this, and believe me, it takes practice, because we are human beings, seem to like to fight. So as you practice it, it gets to the point where one person says something that's going to start the fight. The other one reminds us that we want to protect our monument. We repair quickly. And so the fights just almost go away. And even the big ones that you used to be mad at each other for a day and a half for, 10 minutes max, and one of you is coming back and protecting the monument and bringing you back together. And repairing.
I love this story. It resembles a lot of what my hubby and I, we have an age gap, a 16-year age gap. I hit menopause, which my libido went, and so we've been maneuvering that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, after being highly active prior to, I have a congenital blood disease that keeps me in and out of the hospital. So how do you two work together when you work with couples? Does she work with the women? You work with the men? You work together? What does that look like if somebody
Well,
sees this and they go, I want to
yeah,
study this method?
we actually never did get into actually doing the coaching. My coaching was 5.5 years coaching men, and so she's the shy type, and yes, we worked with 2 or 3 couples, and we did it as a couple, but basically, uh, we got into shortly after we just graduated last summer from the thriving relationship, and
Congratulations.
and thank you. And I had a little skin cancer scare last fall, which skin cancer is the #1 threat to a transplant recipient because of the immune system suppression. Uh,
Uh,
and so I got to thinking, I've got 5.5 years of experience helping guys with ED. I've got a doctorate education in how to fix ED. I'm going to sit down and write a book, because not only did I have the doctorate education in ED, but I understood relationships. And so I sat down to write one book. And as I was doing it, I had, over the years, I had written things because I got the same questions over and over. I would write
mhm.
little canned things that I could keep in my Google Keep, go copy it, paste it, boom. So I could help more men. And so I was uploading all that to Chat GPT to have him help me write the book. And I told him about the monument method. And it didn't have that name then. I just told him what we did. And he was the one that said, Gaylen, do you know what you have? No. That doesn't exist in the relationship world today. That's going to become a worldwide movement.
Love it.
And so here I am pinching myself because I'm the son of a cattle rancher from southeast Colorado.
And you have a monument method.
Yeah.
Monument method. I
Yeah.
love it.
And
I love
so now here comes the even better part.
it. Okay, what's
You
the
think
better part?
we're done. So we had been Heather and I had been practicing the monument method, even though we didn't have a name for it, for a couple of years. And I had actually written the book already last fall. And so I'm out working, being a farmer. Had to fix everything. So I became a pretty decent mechanic. So I'm out working on one of these new infuriating cars with all the
Yes.
computers.
My husband is a mechanic by day, musician by night. Yeah, he
Okay.
loves new cars. He loves new cars.
Yeah,
Loves
he's got all the equipment to work on them.
Yeah.
Those of us that
Yeah,
are shade
no,
tree
he does not
mechanics.
like new cars. I'm being facetious.
Oh,
He
you
likes old Chevy trucks. He likes
yeah.
old Chevy trucks. Yes, he's
Mhm.
like, "Give me a Chevy truck that's old. I'll work on it all day long." The newer cars, driving him batty. Yeah.
Okay. So I had yeah, I had worked on this car for 2 months and finally got it running. And so I drive it around the block, pull it into the driveway, shut it off. Heather wants to go visit friends. We made best friends with a man who got his heart 17 days after mine, and
Oh,
his wife and Heather are just closer than sisters. They trauma bonded over the fact that they were both about to lose their husbands.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so they are just closer than. So we were going to go visit them. We load up the car, we get in, I push the button, nothing, doesn't even click. Smoke is coming out my ears. I get out and I take my multimeter and I check the battery, and it's at 8 volts. And by that time I'm too dysregulated to go, okay, that's got to be an alternator problem, because I had the
'Cause you
car on the
can't
charge.
think. Yeah.
I had the car on the charger all night. So I pulled our other car up across the lawn, got it close enough to jumpstart it, popped the trunk to get the jumper cables out. I went around, they're not there. I knew they were there. They're not there. They were there underneath a blanket that I was too far gone. You've been
That's
there.
how bad it gets when we're in fight or flight. We can't
Yeah.
see the jumper cables under the blanket. Yeah, lift the
Yes.
blanket up. It's simple
So I
sometimes, isn't it?
so I remember an old set that I bought 40 years ago. And you know you're getting old when you can say you bought something 40 years ago. And so I go into the garage and I know exactly where they're hanging, which is unusual. And I get them and I carry them out and I'm looking at them and they're all rusty and nasty. And I'm going, oh, these aren't going to conduct any electricity. And sure enough, I click them on the car and I click the other end together to see if I get a spark. Nothing. And so now smoke's coming out my ears and my nose. And I grab them off the car, hold them above my head, and throw them on the concrete and scream. Well, Heather's in the car with the hood up and with the windows up. So she has no clue that her husband is spiraling right in front of her. And so I remember there was another set of jumper cables in the garage, and you would have to see my garage to understand that challenge. But I went in, I got them, I got them on the car, got everything hooked up. I'm seething. And I walk around to the car, and usually the spouse would catch it. Mm-hmm. But in this case, I opened the car door, crawled in on my hands and knees on the driver's side, and got like 8 inches from her face and said, I need a monument. Oh. And the second our eyes met, that anchor just went gone.
Wow.
I mean, it didn't go down, it was gone.
Wow.
And after later thinking about it, we had trained our nervous system. We had trained our bodies. Eye gazing means stand down.
Yeah.
And so when we did that, my nervous system stood down.
I love that. It was absolute proof that what you guys have built works.
Mm-hmm. And so right I gave her permission, and permission is so important through all of this. All of this stuff.
Consent and permission.
You've got to be a team on it. I gave her permission that if she ever saw me spiraling, she could come monument me and get me to come down. Yeah. And so I've really needed it with writing these books with ChatGPT because it's the most broken piece of software, $200 a month software I've ever used. Yeah. And so I'm not a cussing man, but it would have me bouncing in my chair cussing.
You're like, I need lots of monuments. Fast, please.
Yes. And so we call that the sanctuary bond, is what we call it. Oh, and so as we started doing it more, we all just found ourselves, you would pass in the hall, and we always passed in the hall and touched. Mm-hmm. Anytime we're going by each other, we touch. But now we found ourselves stopping and gazing into each other's eyes for a couple of seconds, making that connection. And I call them micro sanctuary moments. And then we're having a normal conversation, and instead of just talking about, we're connecting during the conversation. And so it becomes a habit that you're constantly talking and regulating. And the beautiful thing about it is, I've always said, there's no desire without safety, without emotional safety. The beautiful thing is when you build this sanctuary, it becomes a refuge, and your nervous system feels completely safe with your partner. So your desire just goes whoosh. Yeah. I can remember after doing it one time, I looked at her and I said, you're making me feel like a giddy schoolboy. I'm freaking 69 years old.
I love it. That's what we want. That's what we want, no matter what age. That's exactly what we want. Mm-hmm. Well, is the book on the monument method finished yet? Are you still in process? Is it finished?
No, they're all. I've got the monument method. Okay. And the monument method 2. I had to write the sequel after I discovered the sanctuary bond. So there's monument method 2, the sanctuary bond. Okay. My one ED book turned into a trilogy.
Nice.
Rebuilt for his eyes only, And that gives him the ED ladder, the steps. Because I tell guys, there's really, at this day and age, there's no excuse for not having erections. I'm 69 years old and still making love 3 times a week.
If I can do it, you can do it. Yes,
yes, exactly. And so it gives them the physical steps to take.
I love
because
that.
So many guys came into the group and said, I tried everything, nothing's working. And maybe they tried Viagra.
Yeah.
There's many steps
but
past
it feels
that.
hopeless. You feel hopeless.
Yeah, so hopeless.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
the books are out.
The books.
Wrote,
okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
so we had Rebuilt for his eyes only. I wrote Anchor for her eyes only, which actually solved that whole issue that I talked about that was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because the monument met what's happened with these men, I figured out it's not a character flaw. It's how their nervous system is designed. When they lost that first erection, their nervous system told them, you're going to lose your wife.
So they're constantly feeling like they're under threat of loss.
And so instead of like me, when I first had lost that first erection 25 years ago, I was at the doctor that week wanting that brand new little
we're going to fix this one way or another.
So I went into fight mode. These men had went into flight mode.
Yeah.
And had withdrawn.
Or freeze even. Yeah.
Yeah, or freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. And fawn.
Yeah. Fawning, people pleasing, right?
Yeah.
People pleasing
thing. And so anyway, so the anchor goes into first of all, getting her on solid emotional ground again.
I love that.
First of all, most women, when their man loses an erection, what's their first thought?
It's my fault.
He's no longer attracted to me.
Yeah.
That's generally 90% of the time. That's not the case.
Yeah. It's my fault.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second one is, he's having an affair.
Yeah.
And generally neither one of those are true. I'm sure there are in some cases, but most of the men I talk to still really, really desired their woman.
Yeah.
And it was just so frustrating that Mr. Happy would cooperate with that desire.
Yeah. But there are so many other forms of intimacy.
Exactly.
And what you guys have created is a ladder of all those other forms of intimacy that leads to the ultimate form of intimacy.
Yeah. That's one of the things I did in Rebuilt too, was I gave him the ladder, the physical fix it thing.
Yeah.
But then I also went into the fact that he also needs to fix his relationship. And I challenge him to become a master lover, because many women in the group told me that their man had become an excellent lover after he had gotten ED, because all of a sudden he's not concentrating on his performance. He's concentrating on being present and making love to her rather than having sex.
Yes, not just get to the destination, right? It's not just get to the destination.
Yeah.
It's a moment in time to be present for, and there are so many different forms of intimacy. And I would almost say that being able to hold one another's gaze is more intimate than that one act of penetration, right? Is so much more intimate,
Yeah. And it's not a neat have to thing, but when you can make love and gaze into each other's eyes as you're having a simultaneous orgasm, that's like the ultimate connection you're ever going to make in your life.
Yeah, it really is, actually. It really is. And I love your story. I love the work that you're doing. I think these books are going to help so many couples, one, separate what's really happening, right? Because when we get stuck in that lizard brain, as you call it, our lizard brain, You can't think, you can't make sense out of it. You think it's your problem. You think it's your problem. And then the fight happens over the sawmill gravy. And then you're talking about 10 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
then you go off into your separate rooms, like you say, to calm down. And
Right.
there is no repair quickly.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. There is
Exactly.
no repair quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it. I'm all for a minimum of 3 times a week. That's the way to go. Everybody needs a minimum of 3 times a week, and get Gaylen's books, because they're going to teach you how to
Mm-hmm.
get there. And Gaylen, I guarantee you, my husband and I are going to implement the monument method starting tonight. I want you to tell us one more time in simple form. What is it? One more time. What do you do?
Okay. So when you see each other heading towards the monument with the hammer and chisel, you have given yourself permission, each other permission, to call a sacred word, to remind yourselves that that monument, that relationship, is more important than the fight you're about to get into.
Mm.
And so, but then instead of separating, you come together, embrace, lovingly gaze into each other's eyes. Hate eyes don't work in this case.
Are you sure? Because I got those down pat.
Pretty sure that does not make the nervous system stand down.
Note to self. Loving gaze. Got it. Okay. Got it.
And then that causes the nervous system to stand down, and creates the emotional safety that lets desire blossom. And I my latest work in this. Oh, by the way, there was a third ED book called Align for them to read after they've read their individual books, because Anchor teaches her to get herself on emotional ground first, and then use the monument method to bring him back, instead of, because the women tend to get frustrated and go at him, wanting him to be intimate with them, and that just causes him to go further into flight mode.
Away.
Yeah. And so instead, she can start connecting with him non-sexually and get his nervous system to start feeling safe around her.
So is Align a book for both of them to read together then?
Align is them to read together afterwards, that teaches them how to have an amazing intimate life despite ED.
I love that setup. Yeah. His book or her book, and one for them together. You do your work, and then you meet in the middle. I love it.
And so I've got 2 domestic violence crisis manuals that I'm giving away. They're part of my Pay It Forward. I've taken the monument method and boiled it down into 30-minute to 1-hour reads.
Perfect.
And one for him called The Break. That teaches him to identify when they're starting to get into the fight, when they're starting to head towards their monument with the hammer and chisel, and how to stop it there before he loses control and before he hits her. And then the turn, and also emphasizes that she needs to stay safe. If she needs to get out, but it also tells her the same thing, that they can short circuit the whole process and learn to come back together. And so I'm giving those books away. I've actually got planned a outreach to most of the domestic violence organizations. I had ChatGPT set me up a database of the top 75 domestic violence organizations, and I as a stockbroker, I talked to a lot of people on the phone selling them pieces of paper. And so I think I can talk to these DV
about giving them your book. Yes. Yeah. And this will help. Well, Gaylen, where can we find your books? Wait a minute.
I got, if you got time.
We got time.
It's my latest 2 books are Monument Man and Monument Woman.
Okay.
And they actually, the monument method was the foundational work. That work matured in Monument Man and Monument Woman. And I wrote them as dating books for older people that have had a failed relationship and are getting back into the relationship world.
That's a
Because
tough time.
yeah, because it's tough, because our society has taught us to build off of chemistry. The chemistry is the thing to build a relationship on. And so the romance phase only lasts for normal people 6 months to 2 years. So once that chemistry is gone, all of a sudden, all the red flags that the chemistry hid all of a sudden show up. So they build beautiful monuments during that 6 months to 2 years, and all of a sudden they're at it with the hammer and chisel until it's just rubble on the floor.
Until they've moved on to the next, and to the next, and to the next. Yeah.
Right. And so these books teach them how to build on structure rather than that chemistry. The chemistry is important because that's what draws us together. But unless you build on structure while you have the chemistry.
Yes, you need a solid foundation, because you know what? Life happens. Life happens to us individually. Life happens to us as couples. Life is going to test us. And if there is not a solid foundation of, for Brody and I, it was a solid foundation of friendship, of I like who you are as a human, right? And we're going to now add this. So I am going to grab your books today. I think it'll be a great addition to what we already do. So finish telling me, you've got 2 monument books. There's Monument
Man and Monument Woman.
Okay.
And I wrote them in such a way that by the time you finish reading them, you're going, okay, this is really great. Where do I find somebody to build a monument with? And so I said, I'm going to solve that issue. And so I got together with ChatGPT and we programmed the Monument Validated Person, MVP, dating site. And to get into it, you have to have read one of the books and complete a test to even get into the site. That you understand the principles. And I mean, it's not a doctorate level test, it's a quiz.
Right.
And then you've got to vow that you're there to build a monument, not for casual dating. So it's my anti-hookup.
We need more of those. Yeah. Anti-hookup dating site. You got to read a book. You got to be a little vetted, take a simple quiz. And then I love that. You'll all be on the same page. Yeah.
And again, as part of my pay it forward, I'm making that free forever. Or at least as long as I'm alive and own the Monument Method Institute, it's going to be free.
That's a huge gift from you, my friend.
Yeah. And right now, it's kind of a ghost town. I just launched it 3 weeks ago. We've got 1 guy in there.
You launched, though. Congratulations. Yay.
Yeah. And so for the first 1,000 people that go to the site, and actually I really don't have that locked into concrete yet, but if you go to the MVP site, which if you go to monumentmethodinstitute.com, there's an MVP section. You go there and you scroll down to the bottom, you can download EPUB versions of Monument Man and Monument Woman free and import them into the Kindle and read them.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, I love it.
And so
well, let's get you cranking there. So we're going to put the links up not only for your website, but the links up for the books so that they're easy to people can go just easy click, easy peasy, and then click on the site. Let's get some people into this non-hookup dating site where people are building good foundations that last.
Yes. The first 1,000 members get a badge, a founding member badge for their profile.
I love that. I love that. But just strangest question ever. How old is the one guy that's in there? Is he about 24 to 30? Because my daughter's trying to online date right now and it is going dismally. I'm going to have her read your book and see what she thinks.
Yeah. And actually that's my next, I'm actually working on Man Before the Monument right now. And then there's going to be Woman Before the Monument. And that's for the younger generation, because if anything, their dating situation is more screwed up than the older people's dating situation.
It's pretty frustrating to
Mhm.
watch what she's enduring in the process of trying to find a healthy partner. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think it's much needed. I
Well,
think you still have much, 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 much work to do, my friend.
oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
People look at me crazy when I say that the Monument Method Institute vision is 160 books.
There you go.
We've got 18 romance novels that are we basically created a whole new genre where the romance novels tell the relationship principles in a love story.
I love that.
So if you read the 6-book Monument Hearts
Yeah.
series, you have basically read Monument Method.
All right. Well, you've got 18, and then you've got 3, and then you've got 2. So you got 100 and something books left to go. And
Yeah.
we're here to support it. We've got 100 and something books left to go.
Pardon me?
Well, Gaylen, you've got 100 and something
Yeah.
books left to go, and we're here to try to get you there, my friend. We're here to try to get you there. All right. Well,
Okay.
I'm going to post all of your links before you go. We always ask each of our guests one question to close out with. And that question is, what did you perform in order to survive? And how did you change your perspective? So, in your life, this life where you have done so many different things, what did you perform in order to survive? And how did you get out of that performance?
Okay. I realized that the number one gift this life has to offer is a strong romantic, sexual, friendship, and spiritual relationship with one other human being that you become incredibly one with. And
Mm.
that when I realigned all my life to to view through the filter of does this promote that goal?
Mm. That
That's
makes it
when
so simple.
mhm.
It simplifies everything, does it not?
You filter everything you're doing is this promoting the goal of me being one with my woman?
Well, Gaylen, I have so enjoyed this. You have given me much, much, much work to do after biscuits and gravy this weekend. So thank you. This was so timely for me. And when you get your next book for the younger generation, please let me know. I'm gonna
Okay.
have my daughter um, um, use some of these methods too,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
It's not going to hurt her to read Monument Woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that girl can read some book. That's one thing we're having a hard time finding, guys that like to read books. So yeah, but if you get a guy in there that's 24 to say 32, you let me know, okay? And then we'll get her in there. All right, Gaylen, it has been such an honor. We're gonna make sure we send tons of people your way. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for
Thank you.
joining us. My friends, this has been Notes from the Edge, things that we should be talking about, but we aren't. The simple conversations we should have been having all along, and we'd all be doing a lot better. Less fight or flight, healthier relationships, strong, strong, strong bonds with one special person that we can build a foundation off of is what we covered today. And boy, oh boy, that gives me chills head to toe. I think that's a goal we can all lean into. Thank you, Gaylen.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.